So, first race of the weekend for Division 1. The trucks are going to be starting in single file. Ryan Smith on pole position, David Jenkins, I was going to say alongside, but behind him, and then Simon Reed and Ricky Collett, John Newell, Jamie Anderson, Stuart Oliver, Martin Gibson and newcomer Mark Taylor completing the grid. A very warm welcome to Mark Taylor, and what conditions he has got for his truck racing debut. A good call here. There is Mark Taylor in the Renault white truck at the back of the field. What conditions he's picked for his debut, and it's Ryan Smith, the championship leader, qualified on pole position, gets away well. This is going to be a very difficult race. The rain from Storm Callum is actually abating a little bit, and certain areas of the track were underwater, but a lot of it's been pumped away. You can see we've had a couple of offs already there on the grass. No off here for Ryan Smith, who leads from David Jenkins. Simon Reed in third position, so they're all pretty much the way they started at the moment. Richard Collett with a good qualifying in fourth position. Collett's best result so far this year is sixth place. And then we've got John Newell, who qualified well too. And of course the old maxim gets played out or rolled out in these scenarios, which is that the wet is a great leveller in motorsport. And what you see with the qualifying result, obviously Ryan Smith, wet or dry, he's up there, David Jenkins up there as well, but good to see Ricky Collett qualifying well, John Newell too. It's a very, very competitive field. That's the key thing. Collett then, been a while since we've seen him on the podium. He hasn't had a podium so far this year. David Jenkins has had some good races thus far this year. 4 wins so far, and he sits in second position, the 2011 champion. Ryan Smith, double champion, won the title for the first time in 2016, was runner-up in Division 2 to Simon Reed in 2014, and challenging to bag a third successive championship title. Before that, Matt Summerfield, who we did see at the start of the year, was the champion. I mentioned Dave Jenkins 2011, Stuart Oliver and Ross Garrett sharing the spoils of the overall championship back as far as 1999. But unlikely we're going to see a new name on the top step of the podium championship-wise this year. John Newell is himself a former Class B champion back in 2000, if memory serves correctly. And having a good race here with multi-champion Stuart Oliver in the Kelsa 7. But out front, it is close between Ryan Smith and David Jenkins at the moment. Ricky Collett running well in his MAN, but it's another MAN, the man from Mansfield. We have lots of MANs leading the field at the moment. They look really spectacular with the lights on. Simon Reed getting a little bit crossed up coming out of the last turn of the lap, Honda corner. And this fast sweeping corner, it sets up some good finishes here at Pembrey. It's a really good circuit layout, and unusually no spectator viewing immediately opposite the start-finish line. The other circuit in Wales that we currently have, Anglesey, is the same, which is one of those sort of motorsport quiz questions that you might get asked at some point. But plenty of spectator viewing right the way around the track, and some hardy souls here today. A really good crowd actually on this track, as Jenkins, I thought, was going to have a look up the inside line. So the PT Hire Taylor's machine of Ryan Smith, championship leader, being hounded by the man who is chasing him in the championship points as well. Ryan Smith on 375 points coming into this meeting, 18 wins for him so far this year. Jenkins with 4, Jenkins on 325 points, so a 50-point gap. Jamie Anderson third in the standings. Anderson qualifying in 6th place. There is our newcomer, number 81 of Mark Taylor, son of Ryan Smith's very valued sponsor. Really good to have him on board, and as I say, what a debut to come out in these conditions. You probably cannot get a harder debut than he's experiencing today. As Smith and Jenkins come down into Hatchett's hairpin, they're using the national circuit here, 1.49 miles, and heading down towards Spitfires where they are now. Then they'll go round the sweeping left-hander of Debeni, which is effectively turn 3. This is Debeni, which runs right the way round towards the centre S's, which is a right-hander, and having the option, if you're in another class, of going through a new loop. Stuart Oliver looking at the inside line there of John Newell. You can see a little bit of tarmac in the background, which is the new Clublands loop that we've got here. So down to the Brooklands hairpin. And then along Speedway straight to the next right-hander, which is Carter's curve, then heading down in towards Honda, the last corner, which we've already seen. So it's Ryan Smith out front, David Jenkins in second, Simon Reed holding third place, Richard Collett is fourth, ahead of Jamie Anderson, then John Newell. Anderson, as we said, third in the championship, has had a very good run and has not had any DNF so far this year. Remarkable first full season for him, and it's been a very welcome addition to the championship. Won races as well, and of course when he goes back to all these tracks for the second time next year, second visit of course to Pembrey this season for Jamie Anderson, but he'll have that much more experience of the circuits and of his truck as well. Richard Collett up ahead of Anderson, who's slowing down. Anderson is on the outside line. Stuart Oliver's going to pop through on the inside line, so Newell, two former champions, Newell and Stuart Oliver very much there as well, splashing through that water as they go through Debeni, the exit of Debeni actually, heading down towards the crossover point of the circuit. The race leaders though still very much at it, and Dave Jenkins, he's got his newborn daughter with him this weekend. He hasn't made his wife and daughter camp on site. He's got them in a nice hotel locally, which is good, but his daughter here could well be a lucky mascot for him this weekend, and he's got such a grin on his face this weekend, David Jenkins. Wonderful to see. And here's the shot from Ryan Smith, the championship leader. Clear circuit, and you can see when you look at the other onboards the difference that it makes being in front of the race. So going past the pits, down in towards the hairpin turn one. Jenkins might think about looking on the inside, but he's concentrating on racing line at the moment and about speed coming out of the corner. Out of Spitfires again. Ryan Smith well used to soak up pressure. And what did I say about Anderson? He's in the pit lane. Jamie Anderson is retiring from the race, a first retirement of the year. And that's very disappointing for Jamie, third in the championship. It's not going to put his championship position under threat. Fourth position behind Anderson in the standings jointly. Stuart Oliver and Simon Reed both on 286. They've been swapping points with each other pretty much all season so far, and I guess they're going to continue to do that this weekend. And it's Reed with the upper hand over Oliver at the moment, having qualified third this morning, so he'll edge clear, and maybe by a point or two. The great thing about the point scoring system is that there aren't huge gaps between points wise for first, second and third. A lot of championships do that, trying to put the emphasis on race wins. But the British Truck Racing Association Championship is so straightforward. 15 points to win, 14 for second, 13 for third, and so on and so forth. Just going down by 1 point increment per place, which is a super way to do it, because the fans understand that they can pick it up really quickly. Makes life easier for us as well. No drop scores, because there are so many races over the course of a season that a driver's going to have the odd DNF, as we've just seen for Jamie Anderson. So drop scores tend to sort of come into play on their own with DNFs if they happen, or problems during the race. As Smith and Jenkins continue to fight for the lead. Richard Collett is there. There is Stuart Oliver in the bonneted Volvo Kelsa GT7 truck up ahead, and a little spin for Mark Taylor. First ever truck race for Mark Taylor. Here's the onboard from Ryan Smith coming up on his teammate who he's mentoring, and had a good chat with those two earlier on, and Mark's dad as well, of course, is an absolute lover of truck racing. So Mark Taylor finds himself, he's going to be a lap down, but he'll fire it up, he'll wait for everybody to go past and then get back on track. But what a learning experience it is for him in the wet. David Jenkins still looking at the rear end, and again, remember the onboard we had from the race leader Ryan Smith. He's got a little bit of damage there, and how much more spray there is if you're following. That really graphically depicts how difficult it is for the chasers. Mark Taylor's got going again, and fair play to him. That is all very, very good experience under his belt. And the key thing, of course, for Mark is just learning the truck, learning the circuits, getting his times down. Nobody's expecting him to be up on the podium this weekend, but he's just going to start to learn his craft here. And smile on his face said it all. And they've nicknamed Ryan Smith Grandmaster, the Grandmaster, as the teacher, and that's a pretty apt title for him. As we look briefly at John Newell, still on pace here with Stuart Oliver, and the wet is proving, as I say, to be a great leveller in this one. Back with Mark Taylor, running in 8th position now, so it's going to be some championship points for him to open his British Truck Racing Association account, as it were. And he'll be looking for Brands Hatch as well. Looking forward to Brands Hatch, where he'll be racing. We expect 30-odd thousand people at Brands Hatch expected for the big fireworks spectacular. Such an accessible place, just next to the M25. So many families come for that. Some of them come for the fireworks, and then they get hooked on truck racing, so they come back for more. As we watch the battle for the lead still continuing, it's Ryan Smith still out front. David Jenkins has got the fastest lap at the moment though, so the 69 Digraph MV commercial machine, also backed by Morris Lubricants, is having a good run and keeping the championship leader, the defending champion, very much on his toes at the moment. So not much to choose between these two, but Ryan Smith, how important was it to have been for him to get that pole position in qualifying this morning? I should say this afternoon, because track action started after 12 o'clock with the delays with the flooded circuit. But Jenkins still trying to hunt him down. He may get the fastest lap, but overtaking is going to be so difficult. He's going to need the utmost racecraft and probably a little bit more extra speed than he's got at the moment. There is Newell still going through, up ahead of Martin Gibson. John Newell in 6th, Gibson there in black in 7th position in his truck, the Michael Oliver truck from last year. And it'd be nice to get Michael back out on track again at some point with Martin Gibson, who I think has acquitted himself superbly this year as his teammate, team leader Stuart Oliver, continues the chase. But we're on the last lap and going down to the hairpin for the last time, and David Jenkins has not given up. It will be quite easy for a driver to sit back in these conditions, but Jenkins and Smith have given us a very good race here. They've matched each other perfectly in this race by my mind. Here we come through Debenny for the last time, heading down towards the centre S's. The track will start to straighten up at this point here as they head down into centre S's, which is where our camera is. They round the corner now. Jenkins still chasing hard. Betters his lap time again, a 1:15.095. They're averaging just under 70 miles an hour in these virtually flooded conditions. That is such an impressive performance. Richard Collett running well. Richard Collett, I think, here is on for his best result of the season. Collett's previous best, a 6th placer. He's on for P4 here. So again, we're saying the wet is the leveller. It's bringing out the best of Richard Collett, closing up the gap on the trucks that are ahead of him. As coming down towards the checkered flag to pick up win number 19 of the championship this year is Ryan Smith from David Jenkins. What a race those two have had in very difficult conditions. It's going to be Simon Reed in 3rd. Reed showboats out of the last corner. Collett's coming under pressure from Stuart Oliver though as they come down towards the flag. Collett gets his best finish of the year in 4th place, and showboating for the race fans here. It's always about entertainment for Ryan Smith, who takes the win. Jenkins 2nd, Reed 3rd, Richard Collett 4th from Stuart Oliver, John Newell with Martin Gibson 7th and Mark Taylor in 8th.
Ryan, that's a great start, isn't it? So pole position and then a win in really tricky conditions.
Yeah, the weather conditions here this weekend, I never expected it, but we got a pole position and we won race 1, so pressure's off a little bit now. We can enjoy tomorrow, start it back, see where we get our way through, and big day tomorrow because 3 races, especially coming up for grand finale at Brands Hatch. So glad to get the first win under the belt, and truck was behaving. Caution to the win because obviously the points lead, we've got a big points lead, so yeah, fantastic, feel good.
David, that was a thrilling race to watch. So tricky out there.
Yeah, it was very slippy, but the track was consistent all the way around. Obviously, the big problem was the water splash, shall we say, at the end of the pit lane. And once you just got that in order and got the braking sorted for the first turn, it was okay then.
Fastest lap though.
Yeah, I knew we'd got good match for Ryan's speed, because if I made a small mistake or slipped off the back of him, I could get back to him. But I also knew he'd probably got a bit in his pocket, really, unfortunately.
Congratulations on the podium, but tricky conditions.
Yes, it was, to be honest with you. We went qualifying quite comfortable, really. that seemed to be worse for the weather, but then we sort of saw the lighter clouds come over and thought, well, is it going to ease up a bit? Ended up setting the truck up a little bit different, and it didn't really work for us. But obviously soon found that out when we got cracked on with the race. But albeit we settled into it and got cracked on with third place.